Hello photographers, today I'm going to explain your camera's metering modes. To understand the metering modes, you first need to understand the camera meter. The meter is the camera's brain, while the metering mode tells the brain how to think. What the meter does is evaluate the exposure of the scene by measuring the brightness values in the scene based on your current ISO, aperture, and shutter speed settings. It then takes those brightness values and averages them out. For example, half of this scene is pure black with a brightness value of 0, and half of this scene is pure white with a brightness value of 100. If you take those two values and average them, you get a brightness value of 50. Then, after calculating the scene, the meter takes the average and compares it to the desired average value of 50%. If the average value matches the desired value, the camera considers this to be a correct exposure, and it communicates that to you by giving you a reading of 0 on your exposure indicator. If the calculated average does not match the desired average, then you get a reading indicating that the scene will be over or underexposed. For example, in this scene, we have brightness values of 15, 17, 40, and 28. The average of those values is 25, and 25 is half of 50. Because 25 is half of 50, the camera will show a -1 value on the exposure indicator to let you know that with your current settings, the image will be underexposed by 1 stop. This brings us to the metering modes. What the metering modes do is tell the camera meter how to average out the brightness values in the scene. Your camera has 3 metering modes that you can choose. By default, your camera comes set to the zone metering mode. It's called different things on different cameras, but the zone metering mode does the same thing on every camera, which is to calculate the brightness values across the entire scene you are photographing. Zone metering is kind of like auto mode for metering. In a lot of situations, it does a pretty good job, but then there are situations where it just can't hack it. It's like auto because it tries to guess what should or shouldn't be well exposed in the shot for you. This category of metering is called zone because what it does is divide the entire scene up into different zones, and it tries to guess which of those zones is the most important to the shot. It then calculates the average with a bias for that zone. Let's say you're photographing a scene like this. With zone metering active, what the camera meter will do is slice this up into a bunch of different zones, and while slicing it up, it might decide that the sky is the most important part of this photo. So it'll average the brightness values of the sky with more priority to ensure that the sky doesn't end up over or underexposed. It'll include the beach and the water in the averaging calculation as well, but because it's determined that the sky is more important, it'll give you an exposure reading that will maintain the exposure of the sky at the expense of the rest of the scene. Now with a scene like this, zone metering works fine because the brightness values in the scene are all pretty similar. This is where zone does its best work. Scenes where the average brightness values tend to be right around 50%. Where zone doesn't do so well is where the brightness values are more extreme. In this example, the zone metering fails pretty hard. It's not really the meter's fault. This is just a difficult exposure situation. But even so, the zone metering just couldn't handle it. It gave the buildings priority in the exposure, so the sky went overexposed, but the buildings are still too underexposed, giving us a photo that looks like garbage. If the buildings are the principal subject in the scene, what would have looked better is something like this, where the buildings are fully and properly exposed. Yes, the sky looks terrible in this shot, but that's a problem of dynamic range rather than of metering. And this is one of the key things to remember about metering and your metering modes. Choosing the right metering mode is about choosing what you want exposed in the image. The metering mode can't fix issues of dynamic range like this, where the sky is so bright that to expose the buildings properly, the sky ends up overexposed. What the metering mode can do is allow you to explicitly tell the camera what part of the image you want to be properly exposed, which brings us to the next metering mode, center weighted or center weighted average. This metering mode is a variation on zone metering. It still looks at the entire scene, but the priority area of the exposure is always right in the center of the frame. This is based around the idea that the average photographer tends to put the focus of the image smack in the middle middle of the frame. The area of the frame that constitutes the center varies, but it's somewhere around 20%. Though that 20% center area gets priority, the rest of the scene is still considered, and as a result, center-weighted metering can fail in extreme situations just like zone metering does. In the end, both of these modes are a variation on auto mode for metering, and these two modes are mostly good for landscape, scenery, street, and general photography. But if you want total control over what is properly exposed in your image, you want to use spot metering. What spot metering does is calculate the brightness average off of one spot, ignoring everything else in the frame. I call it the manual mode for metering because it gives you total control over the exposure calculation. By default, the spot that it uses for metering is the center focus point of the camera. And though it varies from camera to camera, the center area it uses for the exposure calculation is around 3% of the frame. Let's say you're photographing a band, which has wildly inconsistent lighting, and you know that you want the performers to be well exposed. If you use center weighted or zone in this situation, you'll end up with photos like this. Averaging the whole scene just does not work when the lighting is so varied. In this situation, you are much better off being able to tell the camera, just calculate based on the spot I tell you and ignore everything else. And in doing so, you'll get a shot that looks like this. Here, I put the spot on the singer's face. The camera then averaged for just his face, ignoring the bright light in the background, the light coming from camera right, the very dark speaker, and everything else in the scene. It only cared about the spot I told it to look at, and as a result, the singer is well exposed. Yes, the right side of the shirt is a little overexposed, but you have to remember that metering cannot fix issues of dynamic range. If parts of the scene are too bright or too dark, then parts of the scene will still be too bright or too dark. But with your metering mode, specifically with spot metering, you can make sure that the element that you want perfectly exposed is. Spot metering is good for just about any photography situation because it gives you control over your exposure. But the question you might be asking is, what if I don't want the focus of the image to be in the center of the frame? Even though the spot metering spot is typically locked to your center focus point, you don't have to put the element you want exposed in the center of the frame. You achieve this through exposure locking. If we look at this image again, you can see that the singer's face is nowhere near the center of the frame. Prior to taking this photo, I put my center focus point over the singer's face, and then I set my ISO, aperture, and shutter speed so that it gave me an exposure value of 0. Because I was in manual mode, my exposure was locked by default. I can position the camera to compose the image any way I want, and my settings will stay exactly the same. With that done, I was able to compose and shoot the image the way I wanted to, knowing I had already metered off the singer's face and locked my exposure in. If you were using aperture or shutter priority mode, the process is a little bit different. You still put the center focus point on the subject you want to meter for. You set the priority setting and your ISO where you want them, and then the camera will automatically adjust the setting that it controls to bring the exposure value to 0. Then, to lock your exposure, you need to press your exposure lock button. Where this button is varies, so you'll need to check your manual if you don't know where it is. But once you press that exposure lock button, the exposure settings will not change until you take your next photo. Once you take that photo, the exposure setting the camera controls can then be changed again, meaning that you'd have to re-meter off of your subject and relock it for the next photo. That's obviously not ideal for speed, which is why I'd recommend manual mode for situations like that. So those are your metering modes explained. I've put all of this and more into my free metering mode cheat sheet and guide, which you can get at this link right here. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of my videos, and then get out there and take some damn photos. Thank you for watching. Now, I get loads of questions and they all boil down to one thing, which is how do I make my camera do what I want it to do? And here's the thing, your camera is like an instrument, and you can't make music if you can't play your instrument. If you want to learn how to play your camera like the instrument it is, visit this link right here to check out my Guide to Shooting in Manual Mode video course.